assuming I'm live, how is it going? Welcome to the, what month is it? Is it still February? February monthly members hangout. How is it going? I see Zane and Swedane and Paolo. What's up? Oh, Zane had asked, so how are your nights going lately? Is Baby Raina keeping you up all night yet? Wait, hold on. My poor little girl turns 2 in April and she's still teething hardcore. So look forward to the teething baby stage. It gets brutal. So I've heard that, and I'm very worried about it. Sorry that you're going through that right now, and that you have been going through that for a long time, apparently. So Raina is doing pretty well at night. She mostly has. She started screaming in her sleep a lot, like a month ago. So I've mostly gotten used to that. Lately, it's the dogs are the bigger problem. One dog started bothering us constantly in the middle of the night until we let her now sleep in the bed, and now the other dog is mad that that dog sleeps in the bed, so he's bothering us constantly. So I've spent the last 2 nights sleeping in the living room to stop him from scratching at the door. So it's not really the baby that's the problem, it's our dogs who are also kind of babies. But yeah, my sleep has not been great. Double O, what's up? My name is Batty Dragon. Hello, 11. What's up? Nana Nikki, howdy. Let's see. John and Doghouse. The entire house is a doghouse, unfortunately. The intro got cut off. I wish they'd fixed the live stream. I never know how many seconds I have to wait before it'll start registering. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 9. And I don't like being cut off, but I also don't like when you start a video and it's me doing this. How's it going? That's weird too. Anyway. Oh, Double O, yes. That should still be happening every time. If they're not putting up the community tab post, that is too bad. But feel free, if you have a question or a topic of conversation, you can bring it up. Double O, I got your DM as always. Thank you for that, and I'll be reading that in just a little bit once we get situated and everything. Welcome, one and all. I'm in the studio, which was really hot, and then I turned on the AC, and now I'm freezing. And so that's my life. It can't get comfortable in here, unfortunately. I like to have it kind of freezing during the show, because I kind of like having the nervous energy that I associate with shivering. Let's see. Funny, though, when the video is posted later, the intro is there. I don't understand how any of that works. The pause face reminds me that we've had a lot of hot hands type style shows solo. What do you mean? What do you mean, Paolo? How's it going, Paolo? Smog break. What is that shirt? Something Game of Thrones related? Oh, so this is the Sword in the Darkness show, which I think has something on the back. What does it say on the back? There's words. I can't read them because it's behind me. I haven't worn this one in a while because it's one of my older shirts. And, oh, we have had solo shirts. So this is one of my older shirts, and I don't want to wear it out. So I believe that this shirt is a limited edition shirt that if you were watching back in, God, I don't 2015 or something, 2014, I'm not even sure. We were doing this fundraising drive to launch our teams of reporters at that time. And if you donated some amount, I don't know, you got this shirt at that point. So it's one of my older t-shirts, so I'm trying not to wear it out, but it was just the one that I randomly decided to wear today. Grandma says, I just got back from taking Zero to the vet. He was leaving dribbles all over yesterday. I hope it's just a urinary type infection, not something worse. Well, I understand what you're going through because my dog pees inside a lot. We gradually got rid of all of our rugs because he destroyed them. And then he kept peeing anyway. And so now he wears diapers most of the time, which is kind of sad, you know, when you've had a dog for a really long time and now they're wearing diapers, but that's what you do. All day I'm just diapering things, really. But anyway, he's here. Maybe he'll come over at some point. Hilo? We'll see. He's laying on a nice comfy bed, trying to stay warm, I guess. But he's hanging out. Don't worry, I turned off the AC to try to make it not as bad for him. So anyway, how's everybody doing? Let me just say, as background to the show, it's been a really busy time of the news. There is so much going on. And sometimes there's like a lot having to do with like one big story. But lately it's just been, there has been so many different things going on. A lot of stuff happening in different states, a lot of legal stuff that we have to track. It's been a very busy time. There was a cat though, the litter box is handy, but he's been going everywhere. Oh, That could, yeah, some sort of behavioral thing. Poor fix leaky faucets, yeah. Thankfully, my daughter has been pretty good in terms of all of that. We have not had any issues with blowouts or anything. We will see. I have to take the kids, all five of them, to the doctor of this live stream because they're getting sick again. Even the teething baby, unfortunately, sinus infection most likely. I have it too. I hate sinus infections so much. I get them a lot. I'm basically always congested, and I went to a doctor who suggested this medical procedure where they put like a balloon in your nose to like widen your sinus cavities or whatever. And they pitched it as a very simple thing that super works and doesn't really produce side effects. And then I did research online, and a lot of people were advising against it. So I didn't end up doing anything to deal with my recurring sinus infections, but I'm really sorry that you're dealing with it for your whole family. I don't know how a 2-year-old deals with the teething pain, let alone if they have a sinus infection, if they have congestion, they can't really even express it. That is rough. Barely able to stand on his hind legs around the end. He'd pee and just lay in it. Yeah, my dog basically, like, he doesn't really lift his leg anymore. Like, he'll kind of go like he would normally pee, but then he just kind of pees on his own legs sometimes. He's doing his best. So that's what I try to focus on. A balloon sinoplasty is no joke. Yeah, so, like, I would love to not always be congested, but I don't know. It feels like a big thing, and they were acting like it wasn't, and so I found that to be dishonest, or it seemed dishonest, seemed manipulative. Cats get dementia. That I did not know. Very loud serenades. You should get your turbinates reduced. I had that done, and it was a miracle. So I think they said something about that. What does that do? To improve nasal airflow. I don't know. I just find I'm so worried about like having some kind of surgery, any surgery, partially because I've been watching Dr. Death. But then also like I think, what if I did some sort of surgery and it messed with like my voice or my ability to speak? Like, what if I literally couldn't do my job anymore because of some surgery? So that worries me. But it's something I've thought about. Anyway, hopefully the doctor is able to help you, Zane. Reina has not yet gotten sick. I don't know how I'm going to deal with that when that inevitably happens. 1,000 times it seems like a disaster. Okay, let me read the beginning of this message that 00 sent, saying, Hydra Papa, how go things and stuff? Things are good, overall. First, I'd love to comment on what you said on the pre-port yesterday regarding Alexei Navalny, him being an inspirational oppositional figure and how progressives often don't have anyone like that. Well, for whatever it's worth, I most definitely consider you and most all of the TYT hosts and team to be inspirational figures of hope and opposition, and I'm positive many others would say similarly. Thank you, that's really nice. I hope it is very clear that we are under very different circumstances than Alexei Navalny, but still, I appreciate that. We thankfully are, disregarded by most in power and the media, maybe mocked when we are acknowledged, but we don't get locked up or anything. We've had a couple of little incidents and things like that, some of which we've talked about, some of which we haven't, but nothing terrible. Okay. TYT has not only been there for me in times of terrible darkness, but also to lift me up out of it. I don't know how I would have emotionally withstood the blow of Bernie's concession in 2020 without Emma's tearful video talking about it, Francesca's wise and gentle reminders that it was never only just about one guy, everyone's positive attitudes and input despite the horrid anxieties of early 2020, the list goes on and on. I surely would have found some way to carry myself through the crushing despair, but having TYT there made it so much easier a burden to bear. So thank you. I want to address a couple different things there. So I don't remember Emma's video. I want to watch that. Obviously, I love Emma. I think she's great. I don't... Bernie had a very bad Super Tuesday? Is that it? If you know what the title of it was or anything like that, I would love to see that. But I do remember Francesca talking about not just being about one person. And look, it was very tough in 2020. I remember I took a trip to Catalina Island, and I remember that because I think South Carolina happened while I was there. Like I remember seeing it on that TV, and I remember like still thinking there was such a good chance that he was going to win. I remember I made a video and I wrote I wrote an op-ed at this time where everything really seemed to be lining up for him and it really seemed like it was going to happen. And so when it didn't, it was absolutely devastating. Coming off of 4 years of Trump and feeling at that time like Biden becoming the nominee meant that he had no chance of beating Donald Trump. Now, thankfully, that did not end up being the case. COVID and all that really helped out in terms of Biden, taking down a sitting president, which is always tough. But it was depressing. 2016 was, I think, rougher because it was the first time I'd really had hope in an election before. 2020, I guess, was made a little bit easier by the fact that we'd been through it in 2016. But then the period after 2020 just we had 2016 was obviously great for progressives. 2018, we get the squad members and all that. The period since 2020 has been rough in terms of, inspirational figures. It is tough, and I know, there are some and there will be more, but we are in a difficult period. Like I talked about with Navalny, it's a very difficult period in that area. Okay, someone messed with the document, and I'm trying to find the comments. But let me continue, and I do want to find the Emma thing. Emma had a really bad Super Tuesday. Maybe I can just search on Rebel HQ for Emma and see. But in any event, I continue. So in case you might ever have been curious why I've been as loyal and involved a member of the community over the years, now you know. You and TYT are enormously inspirational, and so long as you are still fighting the seemingly hopeless and endless war against asinine socio-political ideologies and the propaganda of most all media, I'll be fighting right along, however I can too. Anyway, to the questions. Well, thank you for all that. I do appreciate. And we're fighting forms of battles. There's other battles that we unfortunately cannot fight right now because there's no chance of a progressive apparently being the nominee. But I try to bear in mind that we have had two goes, and we were very close. In 2016, quite close, and super close in 2020, and there will be others. Not necessarily for Bernie, regrettably. That is always going to sting. But there will be others. And 2024 is potentially a battleground that we can win this fight on. And so we just need to fight to reduce the damage as much as possible along the way and, increase the strength of our position in advance of the next opportunity. So, that said, first question. If you could visit any planet from a sci-fi universe, which one would it be? And what aspect of its cultural or environmental intrigues you the most? A planet from a sci-fi universe. What aspect of its culture or environment intrigues you the most? A planet. So we could talk Star Wars, we could talk Star Trek. I don't know that there's any individual planets in Star Trek that I'd be super interested in. They never really focused that much on that. So I'm going to rule it out. Battlestar Galactica, I don't want to go to any of those planets. It's probably going to come down to Star Wars. But honestly, I'm not like super sure. Like some of the iconic ones, I don't want to go to Hoth or Tatooine necessarily. Like being in Mos Eisley would be interesting. I don't know. I mean, I guess if I wanted to, look, I'm not sure that it depends on the timeline, the culture, but going to Coruscant would be really interesting. Like being able to zip around in a city the size of a planet would be cool. And I'm assuming that with all of that, there's got to be tons of different things for entertainment and cuisine and all that. I imagine, yeah, Cloud City is a pretty good choice, but I don't know how much there is on Cloud City. Coruscant's got to have everything. It's got to have the cuisines of every planet in the galaxy, basically. So I'm going to say Coruscant. Cloud City would look really cool. I will grant you that. Maybe Dagobah, if I could be trained by Yoda, but I'm going to go with Coruscant. By the way, speaking of sci-fi universes, I want to ask all of you a question. So I tried to watch Dune last year. I think it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago at this point. And I fell asleep. I thought it was very slow and very boring, and I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be getting out of it. So now, fast forward, Dune 2 has come out, or is coming out this week. And some of the early reviews are very positive about it. And on top of that, I am positive that Florence Pugh is in it. So, I want to see that, I guess. Do I just go to Dune 2? Do I rewatch Dune 1? Do I just give up on the entire thing and watch Florence Pugh in something else? What do we think strategy-wise? I couldn't get engaged, but some people like Dune, right? I don't understand. What do they like about it? I get that it's sci-fi. It's the sort of thing I should like, but it's like almost entirely on this desert planet. I haven't been on Threads, I think, since I post that double O. I'm gonna have to look, but I will look. Actually, I guess I'll bring it up right now. It's just on a desert planet, which I've already seen that with Tatooine, and I understand that this predates Tatooine, but I saw Tatooine since then, so I don't know what you want out of me. It's so slow, and like the sword fighting thing doesn't look very cool, and is Zendaya even in it? I feel like they just kept showing like a dream sequence of her looking at him. There wasn't that much sandworms, and I don't know how much I'd even like the sandworms if there were. Okay, hold on, I'm going to your comment. Well, Swedane, the thing is that like people say the second one's really good, and I do like Florence Pugh. So Sane and Lefty says it's gorgeous. You should ignore both just to spite Paolo like you spite me by ignoring Hellblade. Well, again, as I said in, I think, our last members hangout, if I'm ignoring Hellblade, it's only because I can't game. I get to play a little bit 1 day a week with my friends who live in another part of the country, and we're playing Enshrouded. So I get to play like an hour and a half of that each week. That is all of my gaming time. I do not have any other gaming time. You need to understand, I have not logged into my save of Baldur's Gate 3 in 6 months. And that is an amazing game, but I can't play it. I can't play it. So, and I want to. Helldivers is apparently very good, but I wouldn't know because I can't play it. There are these like Cthulhu-esque fishing games that came out, but I can't play them, unfortunately. My 2-year-old daughter's trying to climb the shelves by her back door, like she sees her sisters doing to get the treats up top. Oh my god. You gotta do something. I loved her in Oppenheimer, but she wasn't shown enough. Well, that's the issue. Like, I haven't seen that, but it's really long, and I suspect that she's not going to be in it much. And I suspect that the same thing is true of Dune. I feel like she needs to be in more movies. She was in this movie with, like, Morgan Freeman, but it just looks like a downer based on the trailer and all that. I just want her to be in, like, I don't know, something good. A Marvel movie or something. I feel the same way about her lately as Alicia Vikander, who was previously one of my favorite actresses, and then she just stopped being in things. It's depressing. Let's see. Try to quit smoking cigarettes. I'm setting a timer for 1 hour and 20 minutes between cigarettes. I was up at 110 and did well. Yesterday I tried 130. It freaked me out, so I backed up 10. I don't know what it's like to try to give up with that, but I like the idea of your plan. That sounds pretty good. I know there's a lot of communities online for helping with that. You've got a whole other adventure going on with Reyna. Like I said, perhaps there'll be a day when you say F it and launch it, love it, and you'll tell me right it was all along. I have launched it, to be clear. I played a few minutes of it one time. I think when I was trying to use the Oculus headset that TYT lent me. So I did try, briefly. But yes, Reyna is my video game character that I'm playing with these days. Okay, what would you say are some foundational elements of a stable and fulfilling relationship? Top 10 suggestion, maybe? Oh my god. First of all, don't ask me for relationship advice. I mean, I am married, and we have a good marriage, but I don't know that I'm an expert. I do like it as a top 10 list, though. Okay, if you're okay with waiting for my response in the form of a top 10 list, I will leave myself a note right now. And we will do that as a top 10 list. Let me see. Top 10 elements of a stable and fulfilling relationship. Again, I am a very particular sort of person, and being in a relationship with me is a very particular sort of thing that probably is not transferable over to other people. But that said, I will try. Did you see the video I sent you about Little House on the Prairie? It will be set the stage for you as far as why it would be a good set of books to read. Where did you send me this, Grandma? And maybe Oh, that's something that I can tell you, actually. I can tell you about the book series I started reading, actually. That maybe some of you will have read. Okay, so I might end up doing a podcast episode on my Patreon about this. So there is a book series. I forget the name of the series versus the book. I always get those mixed up. Okay, so you tell me if you are familiar with A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah Maas, or Maas. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Is anyone here familiar with that? A Court of Thorns and Roses. There is a chance, because seemingly everyone has read this, it has 178,000 reviews on Amazon. And I think it's got millions of Goodreads ratings. Okay. Anybody familiar with A Court of Thorns and Roses? I know we have readers. Double says good lord, but I don't know if that's a confirmation that you're familiar with it or just the number of reviews that it's got. Okay. Maybe not. Okay, well, let me describe it. So, it is, I think, the... Wait, What is going on? Wait, is this gonna work? No, that's not how you do it. Wait, Wait, what the... Hey! What the hell? Orientation is locked, but I didn't lock it. What the hell? Am I visible? Can you see me? That is so annoying. How did this happen? What the hell? So it doesn't want me to change it, but it's not giving me an option to turn it. Does that do it? No, that pins to live stream. Does that do it? That shares. That's how I type a comment. How dare you? I can apply filters, but I can't change the orientation of the skin. Mother... I accidentally loaded, like... Oh my god. How dare you? There's seemingly no lock for me to manipulate. This is infuriating. Wait! Did it work? I don't know how I did that, but I think it's good. Okay, it still has the filters up. So we can do different filters. I didn't even know that was a thing. No filter. Please tell me if you can see me. What is going on with my phone and the app? I swear I'm not 1,000. Is this like Joe Biden trying to do a live rally on his phone? I applied the filter, then I turned it off, and I pressed the check mark, and it killed the stream. I'm not touching anything. Anyway. My god, technology. Anyway, A Court of Thorns and Roses is like the best-selling fantasy book in years and years. It is a subgenre of fantasy called romantasy, because like virtually every book that sells well, it is a romance with some genre applied to it. It is what I have seen described as fairy smut. It's basically, I've heard a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, where a woman has a fairy who takes her prisoner, and then I think they bone. So it is incredibly popular. It is so wildly popular. So I am trying to read that. Before reading it, I went to the person I know of who has the most experience with smut, fantasy or otherwise, Sabrina, and I asked her what she thought about it, and she loves the books. So I'm giving it a try. I do not normally read romance or romantasies, so we're going to see. But that's a book I'm reading. That said, I don't rule out the possibility of the Prairie books, but 50 Shades of Flowers, 50 Shades of Fairy, I guess, is what I would say. I have not yet gotten to any of the smut. I'm a little bit worried about it, but that's what it's about. It's a trilogy, and dear God, have they sold a lot of it. I don't know why. It's interesting. Clearly, for some people, romance is the biggest draw to books. And for me, it's just never been a thing that I cared about in books. I'm not saying that there are no romances in the books that I read. Like, The Wheel of Time has some people that are in love with each other. But in terms of fantasy, it's not a part of the wish fulfillment for me. Like it's not like I like the exploration, the wonder of world building, and obviously these books have some of that. But the appeal is clearly the romance, and that's just so different than the way that I approach it. But anyway, that's what's going on. See how it goes. I don't have a lot of time to read these days. I basically read a little bit on my Kindle before bed, each time. Anyway, what are you all reading? Nicholas Sparks doesn't do it for me. Yeah, I know the name Nicholas Sparks, but I don't know anything about Nicholas Sparks books. Anyway, if you could see a film created focused on any Marvel character or team, who or what would it be, and what story would you want to explore? See, here's the thing. I like that as a question. I don't have super deep knowledge of Marvel. Like, honestly, the movies go deeper than most of my knowledge. I read a few of the comics growing up. I guess I would say you're not going to find this to be a super satisfying answer. I might have said Moon Knight at one point, but they ended up doing that. I really like Miss Marvel, but they already did that. Right now, it would probably be an X-Men movie or show. Maybe a show if they did it well. Their shows are really hit and miss. Maybe an X-Men movie, honestly. I know that that's very broad brush, very obvious, and they're clearly going to do it, but I really like the X-Men, and I would love to see, how they work in the MCU. If you could have a conversation with any Marvel character, who would it be and what would you discuss? You're really thinking about Marvel these days. I mean, who would have a really interesting perspective? I mean, I would probably just go with like Professor X or something. He's super smart, so he probably knows a lot. Wolverine's been alive a long time. He's probably seen some cool stuff, but depending on when you talk to him, he had memory issues. Maybe Iron Man, if I thought that I could learn anything from him that I could translate into being able to build my own cool suits, but I doubt I'd be able to retain enough. So I'm going to say Professor X, I guess. Grandma says, I don't care too much about romance. My favorite series is the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I need to reread them. I'm having trouble reading because of my neck. Hard to look down like now. Sorry about that. Remember, I think it was based on your recommendation. I read the first 2 or 3 of those books. And I eventually, I don't remember why, stopped. I don't remember why. But I enjoyed what I read. They're very weird. Goddamn Sony. Random sci-fi movie recommendation. Another Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan. If you have Netflix, Sid Chronic. I'm not familiar with this. 2019. I'm not familiar with this. Wait. Oh, this is. I thought I was like, oh, Journey Smollett's in that, and then I realized that's a more like that. Whoa. Oh, sorry. She's in a different thing called Spiderhead. I want to see her in something, but I don't know about Spiderhead. I don't know what that is. Anyway, but thank you for the suggestion. It's Controvert Mama. Okay, I know somebody was suggesting it. It's very weird. It's very trippy. Okay. Now it's trying to play Spiderhead. Great. Anyway, what is your all-time favorite board game, and what about it makes it special to you? That's a really hard question to answer because board games can be your favorite for different reasons. What is my favorite game for the experience of playing it is a very different answer or question and answer than like which has been most important to me. Like there's games for me that are really nostalgic, like playing, Catan or Survive back in the day with my friends in college or grad school. Like that really takes me back, but not because I think they're the best games necessarily. Like if you're talking, if I could only play one game going forward, what would it be? I would probably say maybe Eldritch Horror. It's a big co-op game where you're going around the entire planet and there's a Cthulhuian Eldritch monster that's trying to take over things. That's really fun. Do you like that? Okay, 00. I'm going to have to see that. Every book and bound them all into one massive book with a custom page. Okay, I need to see that. I have not seen that. That's very cool. I don't often check messages on Instagram. I don't really. Lately, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm really bad at staying up to date with the messages on virtually anything. Like Twitter, obviously, I've mostly written off. Almost the only time I check my DMs on Twitter is for this, for double O. Instagram, I don't really, just for time purposes. And I don't know what others I even would check, but I'm really bad at it now. It's tough. It's look, it's partly being busy, but it's partly that social media has just been, I don't know, like a combination of like the people who run it. It just doesn't have the same appeal to me. Like I'm trying to use Threads a little bit because it seems more positive, but I also know that Facebook doesn't give a shit about news or politics. So yeah, it's just a lot of stuff about social media that just isn't the same anymore for me. Maybe someday it'll come back. But thank you, Paolo. I appreciate that. Um, it makes me way more comfortable to have my hair like this. I know that it doesn't look as cool or as stylish as some of the styles that you can do with longer hair, but it's so much more comfortable. I like it. Um, but anyway, how has your taste in board games evolved over time, and are there specific genres or themes you find most appealing? So, the way that my taste in board games has evolved, and thank you for the question, is similar to how I think it affects a lot of people who really get into hobby board gaming. So, generally, there's some sort of game that will bring you in. For a lot of people, it might be like Settlers of Catan back in the day. Other people, it's like Lords of Waterdeep or Wingspan's a big one recently. And so you play that, and then you play maybe some other like gateway games. And then you discover that there's this whole world, and you start reading reviews and doing research, and then you really dive into it, and you start exploring like all of the different types of games. Before really understanding that just because you like games doesn't mean you're going to like all the different genres, and the experience of playing them is very, very different. And reviewers are not often great at making clear that real, like thinking a game is really good does not mean that everyone is going to like it. Like, there are super in-depth war games. There are super in-depth economic games. The super in-depth train stock market games that, like, people who like that might think the game is great, but that does not mean it's going to have broad appeal. So I dove into a lot of games that are super deep and fun and complex, but day to day just don't really, like, it's setting them up is too time consuming. Teaching, remembering the rules, playing it might be too long. So for me, hold on, I will get to that. Thank you. For me, generally games on the somewhat lighter side. Even though I have so much experience and I've played so many games like Quacks of Quedlinburg, I really like games like Istanbul, Quest for El Dorado. I like games with deck building. Don't think like Magic the Gathering if that's what you're thinking of. Nothing where you'd like come to the game with a deck. Like the game involves making a deck. I like those. I like games that involve dice and pushing your luck and things like that. I like the idea of deep economic strategy games more than I generally like actually playing them. Uh, so yeah, I think I've more come to grips that I like games that are not super complex to remember how to play or teach. That if they have nice tactile bits, particularly things I can paint, I like that. I especially like games that work well at two players because most of my gameplay is done with my wife. So, yeah, that's basically what my collection is these days. Thank you, Nan. I appreciate that. Paolo says, I like the typewriter review. Can you live review the Dune board game? Yeah, so first of all, which Dune board game? Because there are, of course, several. The Dune war game, I am unlikely to be able to play. It just doesn't really fit. Like I don't do board game meetups anytime recently, and I don't know when I will. If you're talking about Dune Imperium, which is a worker placement deck builder game, I have played that multiple times. I actually own that, so I could review that theoretically. Um, Hair long enough to donate. I think you like the idea, but I couldn't. Yeah, so look, my hair got long enough that it was like down to like my nose or whatever, and the issue was it just blows everywhere. I don't know how people with long hair do it. It was too annoying, and like you get out of the shower and you have to spend 30 minutes dealing with your hair, and every time you change, it messes it up. When you like wear headphones, it messes it up. I don't understand how people have hair. I just don't get it. Imperium is cool. I never ever beat my wife in it, so that's depressing, but it's a fun game. I could potentially review it. The typewriter review was just a kind of like a fluke. I just wanted to see what it was like to do it. I have no idea. You might be the only person that appreciated it, but it was fun for me to do. And by the way, coming up in about 2 months, the short story that I wrote on the typewriter that I reviewed, I will at that point release. But coming up in about a week, the conclusion of Eden Unbound will be coming out on the Patreon at patreon.com/Iadarola. Okay. Hyper Mega Super Ultra Gourmet Reach Around bonus jokes, dear God. Okay, are you ready, Double O? Because you know at this point I'm not going to guess it, but what do you call a wizard who walks everywhere on bare feet, has poor bone density, and really bad breath? Okay, so that's osteo, what do you call it, and halitosis, walks everywhere on bare feet. Walks everywhere, so a pedestrian, what's a word for being barefoot? Pedestrian, osteoporosis, halitosis. It's going to be some sort of complex rhymey type of thing, but what's the answer? It's to your knees. Damn. A super callous, fragile mystic hexed by halitosis. I knew you were going for that. I knew it was going to be a super califragilistic thing. I knew that. That is the closest I think I've ever gotten, even though I couldn't come up with it. Did you realize that the word incorrectly is spelled incorrectly in every dictionary? Yes, because you were using the literal way that it's spelled, not the definition of it. Right? It's true, but not in the way that you'd think, so there's no reason to check it because it is spelled correctly, and when it's spelled correctly, it's spelled incorrectly. Yeah? Did I get one? Did you put in an easy one for me? Anyway, believe it or not, when I was 23, I actually ate a clock. When I was 23, I actually ate a clock. Okay, so it's playing with the double meaning of 8 o'clock. When I was 23, I actually ate a clock. I don't know. Too stupid. Sorry. We got back to me being dumb. What do you got? Thank you, Double O. I got 1.5 credit for me so far. When I was 23, I actually ate a clock. It was very time consuming, especially when I went back for seconds. No double meaning, that was just a story off. Well, that was a good one. I like it. And that wraps up yet another one. I hope you still enjoy doing these Q&As as much as we enjoy hanging out and chatting with you. Of course I do. I also hope you and everyone at TOT eat some awesome cookies. I'm trying to eat I'm doing a period of eating healthy, so I'm avoiding cookies. Although this protein shake is Chips Ahoy, so I am sort of eating cookies. Pet some puppies. I plan on it. Enjoy some rainbows. We'll see. And suddenly receive enough money to cover all necessities and desired luxuries for the rest of your lives. I don't expect it anytime soon, but I do love it. So, thank you. Anyway. So wait, I never got clarification on where the... Is it Home on the Prairie? There was a post about it, but I don't know where to find that. Oh, another social media that I don't often check is, I know that it's just so hard to keep up with Discord. It's very hard. Like, generally when I take out my phone these days, it's to check the live camera feed to see if I can see my daughter sleeping. Do you subscribe that Pop-Tarts are ravioli? Also, RIP the Pop-Tarts guy. I don't think of ravioli because I think that ravioli has to be cooked to be eaten, and I do think it has to be pasta, but let's see what the dictionary definition of ravioli is. Stuffed pasta comprising a filling enveloped in a thin pasta dough. So if it was just dough, then I think that would be fair, but if it is pasta, I do think that there's a difference between pasta dough and traditional dough. But that said, a big pot of boiled Pop-Tarts is something that I would certainly try, and I do think that ravioli is absolutely delicious. You don't have to hit the thumbs up for this. That's very nice of you, Grandma. But generally, we ask people to hit the thumbs up because supposedly it algorithmically helps to make sure that as many people as possible that are subscribers to the channel actually get the notification that something is live. But thank you. Did I tell you guys I made my own bread? I did. Archangel Project series. Let me bring this up. I made 2 loaves of bread for the Super Bowl, and it was awesome. They did not look quite right. They didn't rise quite enough, and they were very pale colored, but they were tasty, and I did it. It was just fairly standard bread, just 2 loaves. I found a recipe online and tried to follow as much as I could, and had everything other than the cornmeal I needed, I had. And it was good. It wasn't that difficult either. I also did another old-timey thing last night. So, thank you, Graham. I appreciate that. My wife and I like to eat popcorn when we're watching TV, and we were watching the finale, or getting up to the finale. She ended up falling asleep before the finale of True Detective Night Country, and we eat popcorn. And we ran out of our bagged popcorn, but then we realized we have loose popcorn, and I remembered anecdotally that people used to just make it themselves, not in a bag, not in a microwave. So I looked it up and I did it, and it was easy and it tasted pretty good. So now I just might make popcorn rather than microwaving it from now on. It's interesting to be able to like customize how much butter and salt and flavoring you put in it. I might do that. I might do that. Paolo is seeing Dune Part 2 on Sunday. I'm excited. I think you should check with ChatGPT for a recipe, but I believe crow is a dish best served cold. I enjoyed True Detective Night Country. I can't say that I loved it, mostly because I knew that... I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers or anything. There's a lot of shows like it that like to hint at things rather than be about that thing. And I like when shows are about this thing rather than hinting about it. That is what I will say. But it was a good show. I liked it. I liked the two leads. I did finish it last night. But anyway, for Dune Part 2, so Paolo, I want you to present a brief sales pitch. And bear in mind, I'm a fan of sci-fi. I watch sci-fi. I read sci-fi. Why should I watch Dune? Why should I give it another try? I'm not going to spoil True... I like True Detective. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Don't worry. And I will say, in a very general sense, I found the overall story and the finale very interesting. I did. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it was interesting. Maybe she felt ashamed. I don't know. Electric skillet and air popper. Yeah, I made it in a regular skillet, and it worked. It was pretty fast, actually. It's pretty simple. It's Star Wars meets Game of Thrones, and we would be riding sandworms at Disneyland if Jodorowsky got his movie made. Check out the documentary. So, yes, Star Wars meets Game of Thrones. I can see that. I know. By the way, I read Dune. I read the first one. The thing about... I don't like the stuff where they get high. It was way too trippy. I'm talking about the book, not the movie. It was too trippy. It was hard to follow. Now, look, the thing is, Dune influenced some of my favorite things. I know that Star Wars was heavily influenced by Dune, and I know that The Wheel of Time was heavily influenced by Dune, and I like both of those things, but it just feels like it's Star Wars, but only on Tatooine. At least in the first one, that's what it feels like. And I don't love Tatooine. I like Tatooine for a little bit, you know, or the one from Force Awakens. I just don't want to stay there forever. And I feel like the technology just doesn't quite do it for me. Like, their little, like, wasp ships or whatever, and the shields with the blades. I just don't like that as much as the vehicles in Star Wars and lightsabers, you know? So, I don't know. I will probably give it a try. I am that committed to Florence Pugh, but I don't know. Anyway. Like I said, I did read the first book. I should watch the movie. Maybe I'll do a podcast episode on that. Anyway, anything else going on out there? Make Blade Runner, Alien, and others. Everyone took what they were going to do for Dune 1975, made great stuff. Okay, I mean, that's very cool contextually. Wish you were committed to giving Hellblade 20 minutes or so. But no, but you think you want that, but do you really want that? What if I came to you and said, I played 20 minutes of Hellblade and I really liked it, but I can't keep playing it? You would hate that. I know, I really want to play games. There's so many games I want to play, and I just can't. I just don't have time. The only reason, by the way, that I'm playing Enshrouded is because I get a little bit of time each week to hang out with those two friends, and that's what they want to do during that time. Sometimes we play Magic the Gathering or whatever. Okay. Zane, I hope they're helpful. Thank you, Nan and Nikki. Very nice of you. I know. I need to try it. Remind me at some point when I'm at home and can just boot it up if I have a few minutes. What do you mean? You can't say how wrong I am. I'm not. I don't think it's bad. I just literally haven't played much of it. I'm not wrong. I don't have an opinion. Anyway, with that said, I should probably get moving because my pup has been laying there for some time. He's gonna need to be walked and get home so that he can go and pee on the floors at home. But that said, we've got. You'll be wrong. Okay, well, we'll see if I hit it. Oh, actually, before I go, one more thing. Mainly because I always like when I have something that I can present to all of you that nobody else knows about. And so I want to do that with two things. Okay, I'm going to give you two of those things this month. But you can't tell anyone. Do you agree to those terms? And there's only a few of you. So if it gets out, I'll know that it's one of you. So one is small, one is large. Neither are very large. So don't get too excited. But does everyone agree to those terms? I will reveal two things to you, but you can't tell anyone who's not in this room. Nobody's saying anything, which implies to me that I can't trust you. Okay. Okay, well in that case, I guess I'll just go. Nobody needs to know the secrets that I would reveal. Anyway, Swedane agrees. Okay, it looks like some people have agreed. Okay, so the super small one, this is super small, and I don't know why I'm making such a big deal out of it, but we didn't want to announce it too soon after earlier this week. Indisputable hit 1 million subscribers, which is really cool. Milestone for them. But maybe tomorrow we'll announce TDR at long last has hit 1 billion views, which I'm very excited about. I mean, it's self-indulgent to even point it out, but we hit 1 billion views. It's crazy when you think about it. Like you do like a whole day of the news and it takes so many of those to hit 1 billion views, but we did it, I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago or something like that. Just out of curiosity. How are we doing now? But I was very excited to see that. That represents so many videos. So many. So anyway, that's what we're at. But anyway, thank you. That's the small thing. 420 views for it. So that's the small thing, but we'll announce it. Brett made an AI-generated image to celebrate the 1 billion views that everybody needs to see to believe. So that's coming up soon. But the bigger one is, and I say this to you because I trust and respect all of you, and I understand before I tell you that some people might not like this at all. And when I finally do it, there's going to be a lot of people who don't like it. Hopefully some people will like it, but a lot of people won't. Double O, thank you as always. Your service is appreciated. Thank you. So, for everyone who remains, we have, since the pandemic, this has been our set. It was designed to transition from the home-based set that I did for about a year. And so it's sort of similar in some ways. It looks a little bit homey and stuff like that. But prior to the pandemic, we used to be over here with our monitor wall. So we are considering for the run-up to the election, transitioning back to that monitor wall and doing a setup that's a little bit more explicitly newsy, but that I feel more comfortable in. Like, I mean, comfortable in a different way. This is very comfortable, but yeah, sometimes I just like the idea of being a little bit more like the show used to be back before the pandemic. We would be doing this for that election season, and I know some people are going to hate it. I think some people will like it. I think it looks really good. We've been doing some test shoots and everything. I think it looks pretty good. But anyway, don't tell anyone. We're still working on it. We might, by the way, not do it at all. But we are doing tests, and theoretically in the next few weeks we would roll that out. So it's not going to change the content of the show or anything. This is literally just a looks thing. But I think it will look very cool. I think it will look a little bit professional. I think that if there's a day where I want to wear a tie or something, I think it'll fit in better. And yes, Paolo, I am also considering a new intro and possibly a new song. Because the one we've had from the very beginning. So I just, want to keep it fresh and stuff. So we're working on that. We're working on that. No, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere right now. No. No, just small stuff about the behind the scenes of the show and everything. When you have to get an X-ray? That's funny. The main show used to have the tattered flag. I've been advocating for that to come back. I miss that. But we're also, this was our monitor wall graphic back in the day. I'm going to be updating this. It's just a little bit grungy, a little bit. I'm looking for something a little bit more colorful. But anyway. The song slaps at 1.5. All the YouTube videos I watch at least 1.5. But anyway, that's your behind the scenes for this month. Thank you everybody for being here. Had a lot of fun. Hope that you did as well. I am now going to tend to my dog before he pees on the floor. I will see you all soon. And hang in there in terms of the smoking. That's a cool goal to try to aspire to. Okay, bye.